because his generation was so bad, so maybe relative to his generation he was accepted, but compared to our generation he wasn't. But there's an incredibly important message over there. And that message, which is interwoven into the words of the Rabbanim and a Chazal, is that a person on the level of Noah was being impacted by his surroundings. And you know, it talks about the people over there, all they could do was evil all day. And that, the question was, how much did it impact on Noah? We're not Noah. And we're living in a society where without doubt there is this challenge. And you need to understand the power of the community. At the end of this week's parasha, we talk about the story of the Tower of Babel. What happened in Mikdal Babel? Everybody united wanting to attack Hashem. They wanted to bring a tower. There are lots of different explanations as to what really went on over there. But one thing you saw is that the whole community united. There was literally achdut for evil. When it came to doing evil, the way that they united was unbelievable. I think when we look at our society today, we need to realize that a little bit like a curtain hanging in my living room, the reality is that today, in our neshama, there are people that are just throwing dirt at it all day. That's the reality. When I grew up, and I'm not that old, I'd like to think, you never called anybody after 10:30 at night. It was unheard of. I remember going to an interview for my child who wanted to go to Menorah Foundation School at the time. And the trustee who was interviewing me, he said to me, he goes, you know, he said, when my children, before they read the newspaper, I look at it and I cut out anything that I don't want them to see. I need to think about what they're seeing. I remember when I was a deputy head teacher, a parent who had a child who was quite troublesome, to be honest with you. She came to me one day and she said to me, Rabbi Maya, you're not going to believe what I've done. I had the most fantastic idea. I put my television in this room and I have a lock on the door, and my child cannot get to the television unless I want them to. I know what they're watching and I'm watching, and it was a fantastic. You saw the change in the child. But let me tell you something. There is no child today who doesn't get phone calls after 10:30 at night. By the time you're teenagers, you have your phone, and the truth is you won't get a phone call at all because our children no longer have the ability to speak. They can only text. And it's not, I wish it's correct, it is true. And they will communicate all the way through the night. And it is, you see these kids turning up to school the next day and they can't see. Why? Because the whole night they've been texting one another. And the only way you can get them to focus is by putting a little screen in front of their eyes. Then miraculously, all of a sudden, they can see again, and their thumbs work again, and they're messaging again. And who is reaching them? You think today a parent can cut out an article from a newspaper in order to protect them? The rubbish that they will receive on social media, on this, on that, and the other. It used to be that we could protect, we knew what we were teaching. I remember doing a discussion once to think, how much time do I spend teaching, how much time do the parents spend educating their children, and how much time are the kids in front of the computer screen? That was then, that was literally a generation ago now. Today, it's not, there's no point even talking about the battle. It is how we mitigate the damage. So when you think about that, we have to ask ourselves a question. 200 years from now, 300 years from now, what is it that we need to do to make sure that our children are singing our name at the same tune? What is it that we need to do to ensure that the Masorah, the tradition, is continued, that Shashela Hazahav continues? And I'll give you one answer, and I'm not pretending that it's easy. But I think the answer lies in the word happiness. When we communicate to our children that happiness is felt the morning after, and when we live that ourselves, then what they will discover is that no matter what they do, no matter what the distractions, it will never give them that happiness. And the happiness that we want them to live, what we want them to actually revel in, is the happiness of the Torah. And now you think about it. What is the climax of Sukkot? Sukkot leads into Shmini Atzeret, Simchat Torah. Simcha and Torah. The solution to keeping our curtain clean, to keeping our neshama clean, is taking the Torah into the coming year. That's why we begin the Torah at the end of Sukkot, because we're taking that Torah, and each week it is going to give us happiness. So when your children come and they sit around the children and your grandchildren, and when we are participating in the Torah, let's make it into the most inspirational and exciting message for our kids. Let them understand that that is the true happiness. Let them open it and explore it and live it. And then, Bezrat Hashem, we will ensure that no matter what the mess on the outside, no matter what the distractions, the purity of the message which has been going the Dorei Dorah will continue for generations. Thank you very much.
When before I was becoming from my whole thing, was first night theatres and and other silly holiday. I realised that when I took off my makeup, the high of the theatre, everything would go. There had to be something else that had long lasting. And yeah, exactly like you say, the next day you were looking for the next session. And this is continuous. And thank you very much. You really reminded me of that wake up call. Yeah, you spoke beautifully. Thank you. What is your answer for these text messages?
What is the answer? I said, it's not possible to turn around and tell children you can't. At the end of the day, you're never going to win. So to channel them, to understand how to use it. I heard once from Rabbi Bell.
But you don't have to give a 10, 11-year-old.
You're right. You're absolutely right. There is a level that we need to control, but then there is also a level that we need to educate. Ultimately,
And the schools are allowing them.
Yeah, I'm not even going to get into that discussion, but I will tell you something, Rabbi Bell once told me. He said
Sound
to
like
me,
a politician.
thank you. He
Won't be long now.
I'll tell you something. One thing that I understood in Chiluk very quickly is that when you have a successful child, everybody is happy to take credit.
Yeah.
And when you have a child who actually is less successful, what happens is that the parent looks at that child and there's only one of two possibilities. Either the parent is messed up or the school is messed up. And for sure as heck it can't be the parent, so it must be the school. The truth is that there is a third option. And the third option is that sometimes, no matter what effort we put in, and no matter what effort the school puts in, sometimes things don't fit, they don't work as easily. But we're not in it for the short term. We're in it for the long term. It's not a sprint, it is a marathon. In fact, it's more than a marathon. It's a long, long hike up a very, very high mountain. And there are some children that I have seen, and honestly, their parents and their teachers, and I'm sure I was one of them, would turn around and say, these kids are superstars, they're going to be everything. And unfortunately, you look at them today, and honestly, they're not. And there's some kids that you look at, and you look to them and you thought, the kid is a wilde Chaya, is the best phrase of Yiddish you can ever learn. He's a wild animal, and there is nothing you can do to control him. And you look at them today, and these are kids who are leading, they're most fantastic kids.
My son included. You were the only one that was bigger than him, that's why.
I'll tell you, and I may well have said this to you, but I said this to countless parents. When a person owns a horse, there are different types of horses. The horse that is easiest to tame is the one that is least worth owning. The horse that is hardest to tame is the one that ultimately is going to be the one that gives the most. Now, I'm not suggesting that all our kids are horses. Okay? But I do believe that there are incredible aspects of our children. And also I have to say this, I do not believe on any level that the educational system that we have today is necessarily the best pipeline for every single one of our children. There are many different types, and in fact, it is not even a good preparation for the workplace. The skills that you need in the workplace and the skills that you're learning about in school are totally detached from one another. So on that bright note, all I can tell you is I don't have the answer. I've got absolutely no idea.
Especially when you get to Israel.
I've dedicated my life to education, and at the end of it I can tell you I know Gordish. So I wish you all Chodesh Tov. It's the women that she lost. I can tell you one thing, okay? You talked about always blaming on women. Okay? There is a very important thing you need to know, okay? It's very important. I'm going to leave you on this. But you know, men, we have more mitzvot than women to keep. Okay? We have mitzvot aseh my grandma, mitzvot that are tied down, and you don't keep them. Okay? I want you to know why. Okay? In the Bet HaMikdash, the Kohanim didn't keep mitzvot aseh my grandma. Okay, why? Because when you're in the Bet HaMikdash, there was no time-bound mitzvot. Everything was on a different domain. Time didn't exist. The women who build the home, which is a Jewish home, there's nothing, they don't need to have a constant reminder of who Hashem is. It's there in their home. It's like the Kohanim in the Bet HaMikdash. They were constantly involved in the avodah of Hashem. They didn't need to be reminded, now is the time for mincha, now is the time for Alvit. It's exactly the same with the women. If you want to know why I am Jewish, it's because of my mother. And because of my grandmother, the Dore Dora. And it's not just, because they were a woman who was Jewish, so therefore I'm Jewish. It is, they built the homes that ensure the next generation. So, my Rabotai, me giving you a bracha would be the biggest joke. You give me a bracha, you start taking
I'm going to give you bracha, but this is a lady that you all know, Maya. She's in hospital in critical, so we want to bless her first. And for the first time, I give you a bracha and all of us is Maria and Bat Hana.
First name of a group.
Maria and Bat Hana.
Maria Bat Hana is the schutz of the shiur and the schutz of all the brachot that we see today. Bezrat Hashem, she should see her first name.
Amen.
Thank you very much.
The next education secretary.
I'm not so sure about that.
Prime Minister. Oh, do we? We'll see how long we last. Let's be honest.